Hey boys, welcome back to some more Nrl Supercoach action here, and it's going to be the round 3 review and discussion. And we had I don't know. I mean, it was an okay week. We'll get into the scores in a moment here, or the player scores, but 1772, only top 7%. So the weekly ranking, it was still okay. Top 10% is always decent, but as you can see, our season rank, we've shot up to 790. We're in the top 1,000. We went up 592 spots, or dropped 592 spots. So we shot up the ranks. It just goes to show that I guess a lot of the top people probably had, they would have had Cleary, they would have Pappenhausen, they would have Madison. So a lot of the top teams had a weaker team for sure, and we were very unlucky. We'll get into that in a second. But yeah, really good. We're consolidating that spot in the top 1,000, which is great. But yeah, we've got a few things to discuss for sure, or a few things to think about trading. But we'll go over here. Oh, look at that, dude. Oh, you won 4 out of your 4 league matchups, dude. We're killing it in our leagues. But so yeah, Jaden Brayley once again killed it, 78 points. Just looking an absolute keeper at the moment. Jacob Little, 39. Yeah, he is an interesting one, and we'll talk about that in a second. But 39, I'm still happy. Like, that's fine. That's fine for a backup dummy half. But yeah. We'll get into that. Then we had Junior Paulo, 64, which is pretty good. I mean, obviously he didn't score a try, so he or did he? No, he got a try assist. That's right. he got a try assist with the nice pass to Big Campbell Gillard, which boosted his points. Dude, I'm honestly a little bit worried about Junior Paulo because I mean his scores have been amazing. He's averaging 82, but he's got tries in both weeks, and then he had a try assist in this one. So, I don't know, Junior Paulo, obviously happy with the scores, but I don't know if he's going to be a keeper at the end. And I mean, he might just keep up the attacking stats. Big Tino, 61. Again, I'm 50-50 on keeping Tino. I think he is a guy that I'm potentially going to look at getting rid of, just because I don't know, dude. I'm sort of. It's a tough one again because he's sort of the opposite of Paulo. He's averaging, as you can see there, mid-50s. He hasn't had any attacking stats. I think he had a line break in this round, but he hasn't got a try. He hasn't really been any offloads. So, the attacking stats surely will come for Tino. But It's still okay. It's still okay. He's a wait and see. Spencer Linu, 33. Just a bit of a cash cow. Utsikamanu, 64. He got that runaway try, and I mean he's looking like a pretty good cheapie to earn some good money. His work rate he's getting quite a few more minutes with that Tigers team. He's an absolute monster, dude. My God, he is so big. It's unbelievable. I'd actually be surprised. I wonder who is bigger, him, Payne Haas, or Taniela Paseka. I'm picturing them now. I think Udikamano, is the tallest, but I'd probably Paseka has to be the biggest, right? I guess I didn't even think Solomono is probably the biggest out of those, but they're probably the 4 big boppers in the comp. Absolute memes. Then the back row. So the back row was really good. So this is one of my first trades. I traded Madison out for Tohu Harris and absolutely killed it. Couldn't have worked any better. Tohu Harris, 87. Again, he is just safe as houses. He's not going to play Origin. Very, very happy with the trade. Madison might be back. I actually haven't seen or heard anything about if Madison's back for this week or not, but honestly, I'm happy with the Tohu Harris pickup. Angus Crichton back from his suspension, 59. Decent. I mean, pretty good for a back rower. He didn't have any attacking stats, so yeah, Crichton is definitely going to be one of the top. Mitch Barnett, 77. Dude, again, the Brayley pass to Barnett. It happened, I think, in round 1. Connor Watson passed to Barnett to score. Oh, it's so good. It's so good when 2 of your players combine for a try, assist, and a try. There's no better feeling in Supercoach. No better feeling. And Barnett, I mean, he's such a good player. The only concern is that his goal kicking went to absolute garbage. I mean, even though we kicked pretty well in the first 2 rounds, like, yeah, I know Gus said the same thing, but it is true. Like, his kicking action is god awful. Like, he can obviously kick decent, like he's got a good boot on him, but his actual action and his sort of setup is awful. Like, he really just sort of stabs at it. He has no fluidity to his kicking, and yeah, he's definitely a guy that can miss some sitters. So yeah, it looked like for a moment there he had his groove on. And Ponga, when he came back, he might not even got the goal kicking. But after that performance, I would imagine when Ponga comes back, he probably retains the kicking. And even going forward now, Tex Hoy might actually just take over the kicking for Barnett. But we'll see. Either way, though, he's still an absolute gun. Like, he's not going to keep scoring tries, but his work rate's really good. He's got the offloads. I guess the other worrying thing was his... I thought it was an ankle injury, but obviously it was a calf issue. So yeah, that's a wait and see. Barnett could be a guy that you take those the cash increases, you take the big points, and then you trade him out sort of a third into the season, halfway into the season when he sort of peaked. But we'll see. He could be a keeper till the end. Jordan Ricky, 54. Pretty darn good. He's looking a lot better. He's looking very solid for the Broncos, and he's a guy that can bang out big scores. Fuyama Ono, 34, and then obviously Sean Bloor didn't play. And this is where it gets very unlucky, dude. I could have had such a good week. I mean, it would have been an okay week, but this was my lucky break. I don't know. This is the way Supercoach works, dude. You think, you've got lucky. I took the punt on Moses. He was going okay, like averaging 50, mid-50s. Like, that's fine for someone who was like 400, 450. That was fine. That's what I was happy with. And then Cleary is gone for a week. That was like hallelujah. For some reason I couldn't speak for a second there. But that was great. I was like, here's a chance to sort of gain a little traction back on the people that went with Cleary. Moses, even if he scores like 50, that's good for what other people would be playing. And then Moses, of course, gets knocked out in the first few minutes, and he bags me 7 points. And it's honestly the worst case scenario, because now he's dropped in cash, his average is bottomed, and he's probably going to lose more cash over the next couple of weeks. So, yeah, that was a disaster. Sam Walker, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, he's going to come into that Roosters team. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in Supercoach. So yeah, that's exciting though. If he goes really well, then we could do what we want with Moses. But yeah, Sammy Walker will come in, so another option for people that started with him. Cameron Munster, 86. He played very nicely. Scored well. Connor Watson, 104. Dude, I kept saying, like, people on Twitter, a couple of like the Supercoach guys on Twitter, they saw that he was put back to the bench again, and they were like annoyed by it. And I'm like, why? Like, he's gonna play. He'll probably play as many minutes as he would if he was starting, and then he gets to come on after like 20, 25 minutes when the forwards are starting to get a little tired. And I think he played the rest of the game, and he's good. Connor Watson's an absolute gun, dude. Absolutely incredible. So yeah, if you didn't start with Connor Watson, you were doing it wrong. So yeah, Connor Watson killed it. And then our backline went pretty darn good as well, I've got to be honest. So this is our second trade. We traded in Blake Ferguson for Charlie Staines. I feel pretty good about that. I mean, Fergie did score 2 tries, which helped the scoring, but just overall, I was happy with the pickup. I know I talked about getting Jermaine Asako, and obviously Asako killed it. He got, I don't know what he got. He probably got like 120, 130 points. He was on fire. But I'm still happy with the Ferguson pickup. I think he's he's going to be more safe even on his off games to still score pretty well. So, yeah, happy with that. Kurt Capel was exceptional. A lot of people were probably a little bit worried. A lot of people probably traded him out as well, which I thought was probably a little silly. But I think he played the full 80 and scored an amazing try, 95 points, just outstanding. Dane Laurie, 62. Again, this kid is just an absolute gun. He's so good to watch. In a terrible Tigers team, he is like the shining light there. Obviously, they did end up winning, but yeah, Dane Laurie, a massive reason why they're competing. And then Tessie New, 39, pretty solid. He didn't really get too much attacking footy. It was sort of Herbie Farnworth destroying the doggies, but Tessie New just has he's got good work rate for a centre, makes a lot of tackles, makes a lot of runs, so yeah, pretty happy there. And then James Tedesco had the C on him again. I was like, I'm not going to risk it. It's like, I'll take the 70-70 as captain, or 74 as captain, just, pretty darn good. And then obviously Papenhuyzen didn't play. Simonson 32, Fusatua, and James Roberts 28. So the funny thing is, dude, I and this is another thing I got lucky with. So I went on Supercoach on the Saturday afternoon, I think it was, and I was just looking at the scores, and I noticed that for some reason I think at the time it was either Fusatua or Simonson was in my playing 17. I was looking at it why the hell? Why? I think it was Fusatua. I'm like, why is Fusatua in the team here? Because I definitely didn't put him in my starting back line. And then I looked at my team and I forgot to set the 4 reserves. It could have been diabolical, but I had Little, Ricky, and Connor Watson. I meant to have Tyrell Fuimaono, he was going to be my 4th reserve, but I must have completely forgot, and it worked out well to an extent, because I was like, oh, Tyrell only scored 34, and I still had, obviously, James Roberts to play, and I'm like, oh, James Roberts he's got the potential to score pretty well, and I was like, oh man, if he scores a couple of tries, gets 100, oh, it could be amazing, because obviously I put the reserve on him. He only got 28, but still, it almost worked for me. Forgetting to set the reserve almost worked. If Tyrell, oh man, if Tyrell came out and killed it, got 80, I would have been spewing, but yeah, regardless, it's pretty solid. So, the big factors, what I'm thinking actually is obviously Josh Schuster is a guy that everybody is going to probably want to get in because he's playing in the back row. He's a cheapie at 5'8", and I'm already a little bit iffy on Jacob Little. I just feel, he's doing well, and I feel like there's still some more money to gain from him, but I'm like, I could swap. Well, what I could do, actually, no, don't do that. I could, trade Jacob Little for, and then swap Connor Watson up to dummy half, and then that allows me to get in a second 5'8". Now, I could afford Cody Nikorima, who is absolutely killing it for the Warriors, but I probably wouldn't do that. I just feel like, you're buying him at his peak, so I wouldn't do that, but I could obviously then swing it down to Josh Schuster, where he is, he's 203, 90. He got 90 on the weekend. He's playing in the back row. He's an absolute gun. I feel like even if their forwards come back, Schuster has to be in that starting team. He is far and away one of their better players. So Schuster pretty much has to come in. And then from there, so I'll make the trade straight away. Honestly, I'll probably reverse this because I'm not sold on it, because I think Little is still good for some points, but I'm like, you have to get Schuster in, and it's pretty much the only way I can do it, and I'm pretty happy with it. And then that leaves me with a lot of cash, 348,000. So potentially, could I actually get? I think I could actually trade Moses for Cleary, could I? Yeah, I could actually get Cleary, which is funny. Oh, that's tempting. That is very, very tempting. Honestly, dude, I'm actually somewhat hoping that if Moses is not playing this week, I think I will do the Cleary trade, and that will my team will be very, very solid at that point. If Moses does play, I don't know, I still sort of like my decision to start with Moses. You know, he obviously, he got concussed, got 7, that's just bad luck. If he plays this week, I still think the Eels are in for some good points, and Moses could score well. But the other, I guess, issue I think at the moment is probably in the front row. I'm just not sold on Tino. We could also try to get another gun back rower. I could get rid of Tyrell. I think Tyrell is sort of, he could make some more money, but I could get David Fafita. I'm disappointed in myself for not starting David Fafita in round 1, but I had a pretty good back row regardless. So yeah, and the other thing about Dave Fafita, I still think he's a little bit concerning. Not concerning, but they've played some easier teams, that's for sure. Like they versed the Cowboys, the Broncos, and who they versed round 1? I can't even remember, honestly. But yeah, they haven't come up against the better teams. So Fafita, he's still going to bust tackles, but against the better teams, like they'll definitely handle him a lot better. So I'm a little bit... Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what I do with that second trade. But yeah, it's... It'll sort of come down to if Moses is ruled out or if he does back up. If he's ruled out, I'm gonna go straight to Cleary. Honestly, I'll take my medicine and I'll upgrade to Cleary. I've got the money. I got the money to do it. So yeah, that's the round 3 review. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the Supercoach action, and I'll see you guys in the next one.